Welcome to Coloring Paris, the podcast about living as an international student in Paris, especially a student of color.
Wallah, it ain't girls like you out here in the West. I know I've been away, but I'm coming back home. No need to stress, baby. All I know is to be Palestinian, is to always rep where you come from. Except when you're online at the customs. Told her she can meet me up in London. She let me cause I came from Gaza with love. But I feel like it's always from Gaza with love. If they had it their way, we could never go back. From Gaza with love, baby. فلسطين تنساك وبنت بلادي عجباني. فضلكم احكوا مش سامع. Continuez à parler, on vous entend pas. 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 Continuez à parler, on vous entend pas.
So we've kind of talked about some of these points already about what can hinder interculturality. So that can be language, that can be cultural differences, and mental health as well. But one of the things we didn't talk about is racism and homesickness. So do you have anything you would like to share about those topics?
So 1 month into my stay in Paris, I caught chickenpox.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
That's not homesick. That's not home. That's just actual sickness and homesickness. So when you want to go home.
Now, I'm on my own in a country where I'm so new to the country. And I caught chickenpox and I'm calling home and I'm crying like I don't want to be here. Like chickenpox is the last thing I expected to get when I moved to a, I thought it was more of like a poor country thing. But yeah, it was really scary because I didn't know what was coming next because I also contracted COVID at the same time. So I was like a dead fish for 7 days straight. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't eat. And I think that was the period which made me homesick the most because if I was surrounded by family or even, lifelong friends, then at least I can look at them and cry. I would be fine. Homesickness is really weird concept for me now that it's been a year because I was in India for the whole of September and I went back to the place where I grew up, the place where I studied and worked, and the place where my family is residing now. And honestly, none of it feels like home anymore.
Wow.
And a lot of people ask me, so is Paris your home now? I say, no, not yet. I mean, it's growing on me, definitely. But I don't think if I have a place associated with the word home anymore. It's more about the people. Whatever place I've been, it's always been about the people. If the people are nice, the place is nice. So, yeah.
Well, definitely the people. But so I spent quite a few months in Seoul as well, in South Korea. And my last week, I was craving a pain au chocolat so much that I had to go and pay like €5 for it because like I was really missing like a baguette and a pain au chocolat. So like definitely people, but food as well is so important to me. But I think homesickness is. I remember when going on exchange, some people will come back earlier, and it was seen as a failure. As in, like, oh, you didn't actually go to the end of your stay. Yeah. And I was questioning that. I was like, well, why would that be a failure? And some like most of the reasons were usually because like they were homesick, like they missed home, and I don't think it's working anymore. Is it?
Yeah, you're fine.
You're working. You're fine.
And usually, I think it had to do with like why you went abroad in the first place. And yes, it's hard. Of course, you're not going to be under uphill momentum all the time. But some people, I think, couldn't know why they went abroad in the first place. And that's what made them go back home. So, like, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah.
And so I think to have an anchoring, to have something that keeps you going because like you know why you went abroad is really important. And so going back to homesickness that was about my point as well. Is I think you have ways of like feeling less homesick. You're definitely going to be homesick. And I think that the question is not how not to feel homesick. Is like how to live with it. And I think building a group of friends, building also people from the same culture as you, and keeping connected to your family, to your friends abroad as well. And social media is great for that. It's bad for a lot of things, but it's great for that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, homesickness is definitely something that comes out, especially in the first 3-4 weeks, when you feel like, why the fuck?
Yeah. Sometimes it lasts a little longer. But I agree.
It's so funny that the first thing you mentioned was like the food, because I think that was like the biggest thing ever, and also the price, because in Asia, like the Western food is
so expensive,
and the local food is so cheap that the gap between the two is like crazy. And I didn't really feel the homesickness at first, but it was really at the end, after like 6 months of soup and noodles. And I was
so cliche.
It's true.
And I was like, I really just want, and it was the worst because I was in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong has like such a like diverse community, and there's basically like food from all over the world and super well cooked. But if you want like a margarita pizza, it's gonna be like $20 like dollars. It's gonna be like more than 22 euros for like something that I could afford like for 12 in France, or like a bit less sometimes if you're lucky. So I was like, I'm not gonna like give all my money away just because like I miss home. I can't afford that. It would be like such a waste of money like to be in Hong Kong, and I'm like, I can't handle anymore, and I'm like, I'm gonna just waste like 30 euros for that. And so I had like the opposite point of view. I was like, I'm gonna do like something that I could never do at home. And it was like a great thing to remind me like, I'm so lucky to be here and to be like having like new experiences every day. And I just like forget this for a minute, and I was like, oh, I want my crunchy baguette, because every time I was like buying bread there, it was like just
Sandwich
super
slices.
soft.
Yeah.
And like
Very
sometimes
soft,
they put like bit of like, it's sweet, and I'm like, ugh. And it was the worst because sometimes you're like with other like Westerners and stuff, and they're like, oh, I've tried the bread, it's like so good, and I'm like, give the bread to the French people, please. And we try it, and we're like, you never try French bread. And yeah, it was like really a good act for me, like to just like do something different, go to like places I really want to visit and I haven't done yet. And I was like, I had great memories of like moments where like I was feeling a bit homesick, and then happened to be like super funny, like shared moments with friends. Also my dad sent me pate like through the post, like for my birthday. So it was also something that helped me like go through the whole 6 months. But yeah, I think it's definitely something you experience. For some people it must be like even harder. I know that when you have like really deep relationship with family, friends, or like lovers and stuff, it can be also like, that's not something we mentioned, but I think it's also like to let the people you love in another country can be really complicated. And I think that that's also something to prepare when you go like far, because I was with friends who it was really, really difficult like to cope with the fact, and like the hours like difference and all that kind of to be sure like to have a schedule, but at the same time like to not miss on the moment you're living there, because I also had that kind of friends who like, oh, I'm gonna stay up like super late because it's gonna be like the moment where I'm gonna be able like to talk to my family and friends, but at the same time it means like you're gonna like go to bed super late and then just like waste your whole morning.
I
And-
understand. It's hard to like stay in contact with the family back
Yeah.
home while being where you are there.
And not being
Time
jet lagged.
zones. Time zone, yeah.
Yeah,
not
Time
jet
zones,
lag.
yeah.
Time zones really suck.
Right.
But it's interesting that you mentioned food because my spice tolerance went down so low. So low after living here for a year. When I went back home, my mom was like, "What's wrong with you?"
Try going to Japan. Like I'm like, what is this? Is this paprika? Oh no, I can't. No, I'm joking. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but same way, like what you said, right? Like Western food was really expensive, but local food, I have the same experience living here because any Indian ingredient I want to go buy, I have to pay 4 to 5 times the price for what I would get it for in India. But then I need the spices, I need the flavors.
I will say, like, my advice is actually kind of the opposite of yours, is to give yourself that treat. Like, not all the time, but like once a month, I would have like a haul where I would just buy everything I wanted to eat and spend all of my money and then gorge on it and then be like, okay, I can continue living. It's okay. So just a little bit to give in. All right, so we're going to actually open the floor up to you guys if you would like to join in, and you'll be recorded on the podcast to be broadcast for the whole world to hear. No pressure. If you would like to share your experience living abroad or as an international student or as a French student, you have the opportunity now.
What was your reaction to people smoking in France? Is it something that shocked you or not? Because like I was going to like international students for like summer job, and some of them were really like, why do you smoke so much?
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly repeat your question. So what was our reaction to people smoking in France, and like what did we think about it when we first came? Okay, that's a really good question.
Tiffany, you don't smoke.
I do not
I
smoke.
don't think you get to answer
I
that.
can answer this question. Thank you. I live here. I actually wasn't shocked by the smoking because it's a very common French stereotype. So I expected everybody to be smoking. I mean, literally everyone. I expected like babies in prams to be like that was my image before coming.
I didn't know French people smoke that.
Really?
Yeah,
I
no.
thought they woke up and they were like, it is France. With their coffee and their cigarettes and the Eiffel Tower in the background. That's what it was. And wine. There's a glass of wine somewhere.
Yeah, because I got out of the airport and there were like smoking signs, like this area is for smoking, and I was so alarmed because I've only seen non-smoking signs in every public area possible back home, and then people are just it's great.
Okay.
I learned how to roll and I was so proud of myself.
Okay, I will say the rolling of the cigarette surprised. So yeah, thank you for your question. No, cigarettes didn't surprise me. Rolling cigarettes surprised me. And the smoking, I haven't seen smoking areas actually.
They're everywhere.
Really? Maybe I'm
Yeah.
just unobservant.
It's to make it very clear. Yeah, you can smoke here.
I thought it was just smoke.
Well, in airports.
Yeah, outside.
Okay, they say like stop smoking, please. You'll
Right.
kill us all. Okay. Yes, we have another question. Oh wait, sorry. I think we have microphone. Nope. Okay, I'll repeat it. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you, like there is a cliche about French people that we are like not welcoming and kind of like cold, rude people. Do you think that's true?
Yes.
So wait. Let me repeat the question first. So there's a stereotype about French people being cold and rude and unwelcoming. Do we think that's true?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's false, but I also wouldn't say it's entirely
it's not
true.
it's not exactly
Yeah,
true.
it honestly, I've realized it comes down to the person because I have amazing French friends who are like really close to me, but at the same time I have really ridiculous Indian friends who make no sense and are more rude than my French friends. So I feel like it comes down to the person. For example, Indians have a stereotype for being extremely nosy, and that is something I feel like they live it even when they are abroad. But yeah, no, I don't think it's entirely true. I mean, a stereotype is a stereotype for a reason.
I don't think French people are necessarily rude. I think that they're very direct, and
Are
that
they?
makes all the difference. And I think like having lived here for a little bit, I can now tell, well, like, oh, you're just French and you're rude. Like, I can tell the difference now.
So what's the difference?
So actually earlier today I went to a French class actually, and the teacher, she just wrote up on the board, it's like, what number is this? Asking one of the girls, because we had to write down our phone numbers, and it was clearly a 7, but she demanded her to answer like in front of everyone what this number was, and then she goes, in France we write it like this. And it was very unnecessary, but she was just saying, like, this is how we do it here. I am just telling you this information. But to the rest of us, we were all like,
Because
Did
she
she
didn't
just-
sugarcoat it
at
or-
all.
okay.
Like,
But
or-
did she need to though?
yeah, she could have just walked over to her and been
Right.
like, hey, what is this? Is this a 7? Okay, just so you know, like, if you write it this way, I'll be able to understand it next time.
It's how is 7 written in France?
Because it has, like, the dash through the...
But that's how
the-
7's written everywhere.
No, not everywhere.
No,
No, not everywhere. Some of
Oh.
them we just do like that.
Yeah.
Or have, like, the
Okay.
if you're listening to this podcast, I did it. Sorry.
But I think it also like really funny how like French have to adapt. Like for me, like the main barrier was like French people don't hug, and we had to like learn how to do it. Like it was like the most like awkward situation ever. Like every time people like enter in a room, in a party and stuff, everyone's hugging everyone, and you're like just there, like as a French people feeling like really lonely. And then you have always like this super weird moment when like you go for like the kisses and like people are like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Okay.
And then after like 2 months, people are like, oh, I know you're French, and like they're doing you the kisses, and I'm like, oh, thank you.
I have to tell an embarrassing story. So I thought you actually kissed people when you do that, and
Some
No.
Some people
no.
did.
Oh, yeah, but I thought
Like
you
on the
actually,
cheek.
yeah, like on the cheek, and I did that, and it was to my boss, and she went. She reacted so strongly, and I was like, I have made a mistake. I'm so sorry that I was not hitting on you. I'm so sorry. Okay, you make the noise. Okay, got it. Sorry, do we have another question?
I'm not forgetting. I forgot my question.
Sorry.
I
She forgot
my
it.
question.
Okay. If you think of it, please let us know. We're here. Oh, okay. Yes.
Have you had someone helping you, like, to fill all of their papers for the French documents,
Yes.
such as CAF and everything?
Yes. So we did. We have our amazing Yana. Thank you very much. Round of applause. She did help us. But some of the stuff we do have to do by ourselves, and I have to say it's terrible. I don't know how you guys do it.
It's a lot of paperwork.
So much.
A lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just think about the trees that were cut for all those papers.
I could add, like, if you have also questions, like, feel free to ask the organization, like Cop1. I know that we have like a lot of files that are like already written in English, and to explain like all like the financial helps, like the house things and stuff, like everything you have to do with the prefecture and that kind of like super boring, super long thing you have to do to be in France.
Do you have someone we can call and be like, they rejected my application again? I don't know
You
what
can
to
call
do.
Nightline.
Okay, I'll call Nightline.
Well, we don't give advice. Then. We can definitely listen to you and say, I'm sorry.
But you don't understand. I need to cry about it. Like,
Yeah, well,
I'm tearing
so-
up thinking
Yeah,
about it
so
right
We're
now.
here for that. You can
Like,
call us like from 9
Okay.
to 2:30.
Okay, but I'm asleep by 9:30. I'm old.
We're like super complimentary. Like
Yes.
you first like know like what you have to do,
Mhm.
then you try to do it, and
and then
then
you call us.
And cry about
and
it.
pray about it. And then
Okay.
you get through to here, and then you come back, and then
It's amazing. Okay, so I get my ice cream to cry into it while I call you guys. Okay, gotcha.
I think
gotcha.
eating
My-
your feelings away.
Sorry, did you have one?
I think my biggest victories in this year actually has been getting my CAF, getting my carte vitale, and getting my resident permit.
I haven't gotten any of those.
It's a very interesting system because the more I try to understand it, the more it confuses me. So I've just given up. Every time something comes up, I just text one of my French friends and like, hey, can you just please tell me what am I supposed to do? What do they want from me? Because I can't because I can't understand. And there have been moments where even my French friends couldn't make sense of what they wanted.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe this, but also maybe that. Let's just go with everything just to be sure. So
it's overwhelming at times. Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Another question. It
Mhm.
wasn't my question at first, but
Okay.
trying to find new ones.
Mhm.
How well did you feel integrated to French society,
Mhm.
like going out? Like, I don't know.
How well do we feel integrated into French society? Do you mean like joining associations like through the school, or more like the Parisian nightlife?
Well, I guess if you're an MP, it must be easier than it being like at French university.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, when you go out and you meet some new people, or even like you go to bakeries, how do you feel? Like, do you feel they treat you differently because you're not from France?
Yes. Sorry. Do we feel that people treat us differently because we're not from France? Yes. The answer is yes. Yes.
yes, but I also feel not being able to speak French in my case has also been a very strong factor as to why they would treat me differently. But I have also noticed when they do speak English, they still don't like me. So
I have
You can call us if
found.
you want.
I will.
Seriously, I'm gonna call. I will admit that I look very American, so sometimes people, yeah. So people assume a lot about me before I even speak to them, or even if I try to speak, or if I speak in French, they'll still reply in English. Which, by the way, do not do that. Like, if you meet somebody and they speak to you in French, please speak French to them. Like, I call it like the point break. So you just keep speaking French until they falter. Don't speak English first. It's so disheartening as a language learner. You're like, I'm trying. And you're just like, but your accent's really bad. It's so demoralizing. Or don't tell people that they're from America. Like, that happens to me all the time. They're like, oh, are you American? I can hear it.
Are you okay?
Stop. Sorry, I hope you answered your question. Yes, they do. But I haven't found everyone to be mean. Maybe it's just you,
Yeah.
Anne.
No, it's not about being mean, but I realized maybe it might be those situations that I find myself in. But for example, I went to Auchan and they had the self checkout thing, and I would prefer that obviously because most of those machines have an English option. I don't need to talk to anybody. I don't need to cry at the counter. It has happened. I have cried at the counter
Several times. Yes.
several times.
Yeah.
But I remember that there was something wrong with the machine and place was really crowded, and I don't know, I don't remember exactly what the situation was, but apparently the machine where you put the money in, that was far away from the main machine, which made no sense to me. Like, I'm scanning it here, I will pay it here. And then I called one of those guys who obviously did not speak English, and then he was yelling at me,
Yeah.
pointing at the machine.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what about the machine? It was crazy. So I won't say that every interaction I've had has been negative, but I think me adapting and the general French population adapting to more people of color or more people from other cultures is going to be a very slow process, but livable.
I think almost every international student who doesn't speak French has been yelled at in French very violently at a store somewhere in France. Even if you speak French. Yeah.
Exactly.
You speak it with an accent,
Like-
they're just like, what?
No.
It's like, I don't understand French. Do you think yelling in French is going to make me understand French? No.
No, it doesn't. Why are you so angry?
So, do you think French people are really bad at English?
No, I think you guys pretend to be bad at English. Yeah, I think everyone has a different comfort level in another language, so
No, but like compared to, I mean, in Germany or like in other countries, they speak really well.
yeah.
I mean, that would honestly depend on what you mean by speaking very well. Are you talking about having an English accent or like having an American accent?
No,
or
like being able to express themselves like in the right words.
Okay, like that. So not the pronunciation, but just the
Yeah.
articulation. I think it honestly comes down to what kind of exposure you've had with English. So for me, I had English since I was in kindergarten, but I didn't really speak fluently in English. I couldn't articulate myself until like high school.
Right.
Yeah, and that also happened mainly because I had a lot of family living abroad who would come to India and they would make fun of the fact that I don't speak English, which kind of, hurt my ego a bit. So then I just started talking in English alone till it reached a point where my mom was like, switch back to Malayalam, which is my native language. She's like, switch back to Malayalam. I don't want you talking in English. So,
Before coming to France, you think that in France maybe people are used to hear English? Or?
yeah, I really thought maybe not for the rest of France, but I really thought at least in Paris, because, Paris literally gets most of its revenue from tourism.
Yeah.
I really thought people would be more open to,
But
English.
I think not everyone, but a lot of people in Paris have at least a very basic level of English where they can have a basic conversation to get through the day. Maybe they're not, expressing their deepest desires in English, but, if you ask them, where's the Louvre, they can tell you. Like,
So when I go to work, when I go to my lab, the security there, I'm the first person he always sees. I'm always the first person in the building. So like, oh, bonjour, ça va, oui bien. And this one time I really wanted to ask him something about when the door closes or something like that, and he didn't because I didn't know how to say it in French, and he doesn't speak English, and he took out this fancy app which basically instantly translated whatever I was saying into French for him. And then he'll be like, ah, c'est ça. And then he will say whatever he wants in French, and then it'll automatically, And I was like, I wanted to find out the name of the app because Google Translate doesn't do that.
yes, it does now.
Yeah, it does.
It does?
Yes.
It's
Get the
probably
app.
deeper.
Actually,
It
it's
wasn't
quite good.
deeper. I used deeper.
Okay.
It wasn't deeper. So I was like really fascinated with that.
Sorry, we have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you for this. So I wanted to know, away from having people scream at you and yell at you for no reason on the streets of Paris, those days can take a toll on your mental health and stuff like that. So what are some of the coping mechanisms that you would suggest for things like that? Having friends who scream at you, chase you with baguettes.
So how do we cope with the
With the
mental
yelling?
instability
Yeah.
from being yelled at in French?
I call home and cry. Yeah, and then my mom reminds me, this was your decision to move there. So suck it up.
I love your mom. She's very supportive. Yeah, I cry. I cry about it, actually.
Crying helps, actually.
Crying really helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, reaching out, having friends, having support, having people to talk to that who've had similar experience really help. Eating good food as well sometimes. Like, I'm just like, you know what, I can't speak French, but I got my pain au chocolat. Like, something like that. It helps.
I feel like after moving here, it's become more and more important to me to keep a very strong support system, both here and back at home, so that I don't lose complete touch with the person who I was, my roots. And I feel with every passing day, I am more and more convinced that I need to, I need to be reminded where I'm from so that I stay grounded. For example, this time when I came back from home, I got a lot of these different utensils, which is basically every utensil has like a specific purpose for a specific type of cooking. Cooking I haven't done before because I just want to learn it and do it. And, once a week where I'm just, I don't know, doing Indian shit, basically. So things like that, I feel like, and all of it only happened because I was able to build a support system with friends, with my peers, with my professors, and then also stay in touch with people back home despite the time zones. So, yeah.
Just having support.
And maybe because I'm sure Clara has a lot of things to say about that as well, but it's probably the advertisement moment, but...
Go ahead.
No, but like, I mean, Nightline was based on this very thing of like students experience loneliness, mental health issues, and mental health is still taboo. No one talks about it. We don't know what that is. And actually, it was a concept brought from Ireland to France by an international student saying, well, I'm actually feeling lonely here. I'm international, but I don't know who to reach out to. And so what we do is we have so many different tools, but the hotline from like 9 p.m. to 2:30, where anyone can call, French-speaking people or like foreign-speaking people. And actually, we're trying to like give a better communication towards international students, because like sadly we have a lot of French people calling, but we don't have that many international students calling. It's maybe because like they don't know about us, maybe because I don't know, probably because they don't know about us.
Probably.
Is your marketing in French?
Well, it's getting in English now as well.
Okay.
So well, that's one way of improving that. But so based on like extending, not only talking about Nightline, but having an ear, someone to talk to, whether they're close to you or not, is really important. So you were talking about the support system, definitely. But sometimes you just want to, you said like, just want to cry, have a shoulder to cry on, and never see that person again. Well, we're here for that. So if you want to cry, shout, not say anything, you can call.
Better than Tinder. Okay.
And it's also about like the links that you can create and what you can also offer at the same time, because I know that for both Nightline and Cop1, we have like a lot of volunteer, and you can also like just join the booth of the association, and it can also help you to create connection with other people that may or may not live the same like things as you, and that can also be like shared experience is a nice also tool to improve like your reaction to that kind of situation, and to be maybe like better at master it, and like not having like to keep everything inside, and just like be able to talk about it, and that can be a really good thing to do it too, I think. And yes, just like if you want to go by or like just go on also like both of our website. I think our website is also in English, but I'm not sure actually.
It is. I go there all the time. It's in English.
Yeah.
I think it's also in English.
You have an English translation,
for the
But what's the name in English? Because like that doesn't work.
It's like the number, so we don't.
We
have
actually had an argument about what the organization was called. I kept saying Cop1.
We kept saying Cop1.
Is it
Cop1?
Yeah, Cop1.
That's actually, but Cop1 you lose the like funny like joke with like a friend and
Cop1.
the name of the association.
Oh, I did not know that.
And it also because P1 is a university in Paris where it was like originally created, so that's also like
then,
the joke behind
can
the
you
name.
actually maybe briefly tell us how people, if they want to get involved in what you're doing, or how to find you, how will we do that? If you guys have a handle or something.
I think for us the best thing to have like all the information is Instagram. Like it's where we have like the biggest contact with people, and our DMs are always open. So like you can ever like if you have a question, if you don't understand anything on the website or anything, so you can just go. It's like Cop1, like the number dot solidarité dot étudiante. So it's like quite a long name, but usually if you just like put the first beginning of the thing, you will find the Instagram, and you can reach out to us through this. And I know that we have like a distribution really not far from the LPI, because it's at the Maison Étudiante, which is like just around the corner after the Place des Vosges. And it's also a great like place if you want to do stuff. Like they always offer a lot of things for students in Paris, international students, French students, everything. You can dance. There's like plenty. You can dance. Like there's like a dance studio, and you can ask to go there, I think.
Wow.
I'm almost sure. But yeah, every Thursday we are like over there, so you can just like either book a ticket if you want to like benefit from a food basket. Everything is free. The only thing not free is like our festival, but it's also to like have money for the association. But everything we provide is free. Like all the activities, all the thing you can apply for is we never ask for any retribution from the students, so you can both contribute to the association and also benefit from it. So feel free like to reach out for any of the thing, and you have like all the information on the website.
And for Nightline?
Yeah, for Nightline, it's gonna be pretty easy. Definitely social media, website as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you can actually, I mean, on the website you get the numbers for the hotline, and you can call at night. But it's either calling or messaging. There's a chat as well. If you're too shy to talk in the first place, but you wanna, like get familiar with the whole thing, you can definitely get on the chat and then like call back again if you want. And then we try to have stands like in festivals, just like here as well in universities. Like the way we work is like with partnering with university as well. So you might get some emails as well from universities. And the last thing is what we don't do that much anymore, but we used to put posters on the toilet's door. So like when you poop or like pee when you're well, you can see like Nightline with the number as well. So that was one way of like getting people to actually look at the poster and the number.
Yeah, that's really good. That's where I go to cry. Sorry, I want to clarify though. Is it night like NIGHT or NITE?
GHT, like
Okay.
night, the night.
Like Black Knight. Okay, cool. No, wait, that's a different show.
No, like yeah, that's it. Like
I was thinking
with
of
no K.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Moon Knight. Never mind. Okay. All right, then before we wrap up for today, do we have any final questions from our audience or any feedback you would like to share with us? No. Yes? Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing your experience, because being an exchange student can be different, and for working like for some of them in summer are in some difficult situation, and I'm glad you get to share those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you appreciate what we're doing. We try very hard. Thank you very much. Also, a quick plug for our podcast. Yay, Coloring Paris. Please listen to us. We're on all of the apps, all of them. Even are we on Facebook? Are we?
I think we are. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram.
Okay, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple, Apple Pod. Oh, what?
Everywhere. Apple, Spotify, Deezer.
Yeah.
I'm on Deezer.
Wherever you can think of.
Yeah.
Amazon
Yeah,
Music.
and we are way funnier on those podcasts because we are edited by Adam. So
Yes, he makes us very funny.
yeah, he makes us really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
But please give it a listen. Might help some of you.
Yeah. You can also submit questions to us if you want, or
Yeah.
something you want to hear about. You can submit a topic. We have an email somewhere, I'm sure. Listen to the podcast.
On
Anyway,
Facebook.
yeah. So
On
somewhere on
Facebook,
Facebook.
yeah, it's somewhere there.
I'm a millennial. I'm sorry. All right, then that concludes our panel for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for coming. Thank you,
course.
Sebastian. Thank you, Clara.
Somebody tell Bella Hadid, let's change out to Abdul Hamid. Now I mean to come off too strong, بس الأصل فلاحي, I'm planting the seeds. Yeah, I need, I could get you what you need, but I hate it when the text go green. Do you miss me or did you leave, baby? Came from Gaza with love, but I feel like it's forced to go back. From Gaza with love, if they had it their way, we would never go back. From Gaza with love, baby, فلسطين أحسن ساي, وبنت بلادي عجباني. فضلكم احكوا مش سامع, continuez à parler, on vous entend pas.